All right, everybody, welcome to the Unscripted One-on-One podcast. And I think I might say this before every single one of them, but I'm so excited. And I think Kelsey may be a little excited too. I've gotten a couple texts since 4 o'clock, just waiting to get in
Oh,
here,
yeah.
and it's now 7 o'clock. So, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Miss Kelsey Lensman. Absolutely one of my favorite people in the world. And matter of fact, let her introduce herself, and then I'll brag on her a bit. So you go ahead, Kelsey, introduce yourself to me.
Oh man, I don't know how to follow that up. First, I want to say, Aaron, thank you for having me on. We go back a long time and we'll share our journey, but it meant the world when you texted me and said, "Hey, do you want to go on?" I'm like, of course. So a little bit about my background. I'm from Canton, Ohio, so just 2 hours north of where we live at in Columbus now. And I went to Ohio State for athletic training, which is more sports medicine route. But I definitely had a path to get there. I went in college thinking that I was going to go physical therapy, and life threw me a curveball in the best way possible. So then after college, I started my business that combines the medical field and fitness and just health in general in all different areas. And that's the short of my story, but there's definitely a lot more to it.
Yeah. Well, and I let's just start there. You share a lot of your journey online. And so I'm going to say this a lot before we get off here. I have a feeling, again, we're unscripted. Normally I have a couple of notes, just a cheat sheet for myself in case I get stumbled up, because that's on me, not whoever I'm interviewing.
Yeah.
I have no notes. I have none because I know I didn't need any for this. You are just an incredible inspiration in the gym, out of the gym, in the hallway, wherever I run into you, church, downtown Hilliard, wherever it is. Wow. I mean, you walk away like, man, that was life-giving. And there's not a lot of people like that in the world. There's some people you walk away, you're like, wow, that just sucked all the life out of me. I'm drained. Never have I felt that way. And so let's just start there. And before I forget, are we live on Instagram too?
Hold on, let me bring it. I have no clues on there, but we are. Say hello.
Okay, great. All right. So I don't even know what that means. I'm not smart enough to understand how to do that. Kelsey asked if we could, and I'm like, hey, you
Let's
go, girl. So you lost me at Instagram. No, so yeah, you share that journey. And so first of all, and you know, and I always share with the audience, at the end of this, I'll put a blog post out and there'll be links, and we'll make sure we get all your links before we get off of here. But you share your journey on Instagram very openly, and that is powerful. I know that the people that do follow you, myself included, my family, we see it, we know, and so sharing your story, like you said, you do a fantastic job of doing that online. So amazing.
I appreciate that. It's first, thank you for all that, because I am one of my hardest critics. I am very hard on myself. So hearing that means the world to me. But going along with sharing my journey, especially on social media, it's really important for me for people not to feel like they're alone in their own world. And it's so easy nowadays with social media, with Corona, with everything that we're in, to feel really alone, isolated, feel like our problems are only our problems and that our world is crashing down. And that's why I've worked through a lot of the mental barriers that I've had, but I still have a lot. And my life is not like rainbows and sunshine that social media can sometimes shine on certain people. And that's where I want to connect that with. And I want people to feel like, oh, she goes through that too. Oh, she has that struggle too. And I'm like, yeah, definitely. So that's something that's really important, that it's not just, oh, look at this life that a lot of people portray. It's, hey, I can connect with her because she's a real human. She actually goes through that stuff. And that's something that is really, really important to me and my reason for almost everything that I do.
And you're fantastic. And I was going to mention that again too. There's obviously a lot of admiration on my side for everything that you do. And so the next, you mentioned that, and I think one of the places you connect is obviously in the gym. And am I saying that? Is that the right word? Do you call it a gym?
Yeah.
Workout room? weight room, whatever you call it.
Yeah, call
Okay,
gym.
weight room, wherever it might be. I know myself, I'm actually gonna have Marcus on a little bit later.
Okay.
We're gonna record one, and
Yeah.
Marcus Fridays, I've never been more sore or more confused in
Awesome.
my life. But Kelsey came alongside and she's like, hey, just do this and do this. And of course I couldn't do what she was telling me to do because it was a lot harder than it sounded, but but she gave grace and she was kind and all that. And so I know you've made a connection. I'm going to be all over the place, I think, and unfortunately
Yeah.
that's just me. So, but let's transition to that because I think that has carried over for you. You're working with Hilliard Schools now, correct?
Yeah. I work with a lot of the teachers here, and I have fortunate to have a really close relationship with the wellness director. And that's something that changed my entire life trajectory. Is I came from a different area in Columbus. So I wasn't in Hilliard. Came to Hilliard, we were working together, and I got connected with one of the elementary schools here. And what they have done for me and what we've done together is something that I could never even repay them, because they've shown me, we've worked really close with movement, with mindset, with challenges. But one thing that they've continued to do is show me how important community is. And they'll come in the gym at 5 a.m. in the morning, and it's just us, like 15 girls before Corona, from teachers, all different Hilliard schools. And they're coming in and we're forming that bond, we're forming that community. And that has transformed my life. And I've heard from them that it's just changed their life too. And that's something that I think is really important, that Kate, one of the principals there, she said, Kels, what we're doing is not just the movement. It's not just about working out. It's not just about physically what you're seeing in the mirror.
Right.
It's about what we're doing, building a team together. That in the hallways, they talk about, hey, yeah, that workout was tough, but hey, we did this. Or,
Yeah.
hey, look, you had a PR today. And building that connection that is so much deeper than, hey, can you get this assignment done? Or, hey, let's get this task done. They feel a part of that. And that's something that Hilliard Schools, I can just not say enough about them, and just enough about their values, because that's something that I see throughout almost every school, and especially the director, that they value that piece that is just intangible. And I'm super fortunate with it.
Yeah, and the thing that I remember you and I texting once about what I told you was that you have a gift of going second, and you give the gift of going second, and I think not just on your social media like we already talked about, but in the gym, weight room, whatever.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. Let's just call it a gym. You have that gift of giving, the gift of going second. And what I mean by that is, for those that don't know, that means you're willing to raise your hand first and say, hey, here's where I'm at, or I'm walking through this in life, or, you know what, I can't do that on the, when I first walked into the gym, I couldn't do that either. And that gives me, there's a me too, in that says, you know what, I'm not alone, like you said. Or also, you know what, she went first. She was vulnerable. She put herself out there. She was willing to say whatever it might have been. I'm going to say it too, because I get the gift of going second, not first. And so you've always been first on those. So with that, I think that's the connection that you made initially with that class. Is that right? Like you made them feel welcome no matter where they were on the fitness spectrum or mental wellness spectrum. Isn't that right? Isn't that about where you're kind of, that your sweet spot?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Because I was never the girl that was always the confident, or I was never the girl that grew up this like invincible human. So I know what it took me to get there, and took me to go over those humps that I never thought I could get over. So if I know I can do it, and I know this is cliche, but anyone can do it. And I'll tell a quick story that aligns really closely with what you said. There was this woman, and it was at Hilliard Schools when I was at one of their schools. And we'll say her name is Kelly, just to keep it confidential. So Kelly, I was at their school, the first class, and I used to go there every Monday before Corona. And she came to one class because her other teachers would say, hey, Kelly, you have to get to this class. Like, come on, just come with us. And so I remember this vividly. We were outside. It was her first ever class, and she was so nervous. We did like a little warm up, and she walked. I could tell she was walking, and I can just sense on people's when they're just really nervous, because I've been there and I can just sense that. So I went up to her. I'm like, Kelly, how you doing? And I introduced myself, and I connected with her on a deeper level, and she goes, Kels, I am so nervous about this. I can't do this. I haven't done this in so long. I used to do this when I was younger, but nothing to this extent. And there was all these limiting factors of why she shouldn't be there or couldn't be there. And I will tell you, Kelly is in the gym with me at 5 a.m. every morning. She's hitting PRs on deadlift, which is actually picking it up heavy off the ground. She's doing stuff she could never imagine. And that's from the physical side, but even that from the mental side, she goes, Kels, I never thought I'd be the human that I am today. And she went from a woman that was so self-doubting, she had no idea she could do any of that, to now that's such a big part of her. And now that is such a big thing. And that's just like that little story summarizes why I want to be vulnerable and why it connects so much with me to have that Me Too and for have that going second, because that changed her life. Like it changed the trajectory of everything. And she has the ability to change the trajectory of all the little kids that she's with, her family, like just the amount of impact you can have. So that was really important to me. And just, it made me think of that when you were talking about it.
Yeah, and I wanted to start there because there's a lot of places we can go. We may go over a half hour. I don't know.
Hey, I'm good with that. I could talk for
because there's a lot to cover. But I wanted people to understand, and it is cliche. You know, you go to a gym website, and at the end of the day, we're all, and even dudes aren't going to admit it, but dudes don't want to walk in the gym. I don't want to walk in the gym right now. I feel like I'm going to get judged. Oh man, what happened to that dude? You know, and I don't know where to start, and I'm scared, and all those things, and all of our fears get into our head. But I want our audience, and especially the female audience that watches too, because that's really where you've really locked in, is to know that that's your core. It's not a cliche on your website or your app or your blog, or that is who you are as a person. And anyone that sees this, that's like, oh, I'm scared, I don't want, man, I am here to testify that this is who Kelsey is. And this is why she's special in the space that she's in and outside that space. But really in this space, this is why you connect, is because you make people feel comfortable no matter where they are on that spectrum. You don't have to be somebody that's done competitions, which I want to talk about. But I wanted to get that foundation in, right? Like that's a foundation that people need to understand about you as we go along. That's important. It's very important for everything that you're doing. So let's transition to that real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I tell people, and I seem to be the one talking, but I tell people that when I first started seeing Kelsey's workouts posted online, it reminded me of Cat in the Hat when he's standing on a ball and he's holding it, and he's got all this stuff and you're just waiting for it to fall. That's the kind of workouts that Kelsey was doing. Like she's standing on a ball with like a barbell on one side and a kettlebell on the other side, and she's holding a piano on her nose and like crazy stuff. And I'm like, wow, that is unbelievable. But so you've put yourself through some stuff, some diet, to get to competitions. And can you talk about your competitions, some of the crazy stuff that you've done? Crazy to me, but for you, it was all with an end game. Can you talk about some of those?
Oh my gosh, it's along the journey. First, I was someone that never thought I would do any of it. I'll tell you that. The Kelsey 5 years ago, if you told her everything that she's done, I said, you're out of your dang on mind. So I started there, basically. I started getting nervous going to the gym. And then as I progressed, I'm someone I need to push myself. And for me, I lead by me going first, like we talked about. I lead by me pushing myself. And I remember I was at Ohio State still, I was going into my senior year. And there were some birds in my ear that said, oh, like, have you thought about competing? And this is more bodybuilding focused. I was in the gym. I'm like, no way. I'm not going on a stage in a bikini. It's like, that's just not who I am. And as I kind of just started really focusing in on myself, I'm like, well, why not? Like, why? Yes, it's not you, but it's this journey that I was kind of really curious about. So then going into my senior year, I prepped for that bikini competition, bodybuilding competition. I did 3 that first fall, 2 local and then 1 in Florida, nationals in Florida. And that was my first dose of this whole fitness world. And that was my first dose of, oh, what is this? So then after that, I reversed out of that, which when you diet down, you have to reverse to get back to what your actual healthy is. And then, of course, I went back into it to do it again. And I was addicted to the journey. I was addicted to this grind of, can you do it? And can you push through those really hard workouts? And that stage moment, it wasn't about looking like how I was on stage. It was, okay, I got through those really hard days and I'm here. And not many people will get there because those really hard days will hold them back. So it was all about that similar journey. So then going into that second year, I did two, once again, bikini competitions. And then I'm like, you know what? Let's go to a powerlifting competition, which is literally the complete opposite of that. So bikini is more aesthetics. Powerlifting is all about weight. So then I've done 2 different powerlifting competitions, and I wanted to break this stigma of girls and lifting heavy. Like, I just wanted to break this, whatever you see as a bikini girl, whatever you see as a regular girl, I want to say that you can lift heavy, kick some butt, and do it, basically do it all if you put your mind to it. So I've done those 2, and then I did a half marathon. I've done, which is the craziest one I've done, is a Go Ruck competition, which, not a competition, basically a challenge where it's more military based, and you go and you, from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., you do this more military operations type thing. So I've done a little bit of everything, but because I'm always like, all right, what's that next thing? What's the next thing? So we'll see what that next thing is.
I get it. I mean, for me, it's getting out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, right. I've been there.
No, that doesn't count. No. No, and I can testify again that I remember you telling me that. And when you were, did you call it sculpting or shaping or?
Yeah, I mean, it might have been cutting if I was in,
Thank you.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
something. Yeah, I remember you talking about that and saying, I don't care about the result. Honestly, it's the journey. It's the discipline. It's, that the mental toughness, those things. So
Oh my gosh.
I remember that from you telling me that. I'm like, wow, when's the pizza getting here for me?
Yeah, I felt that too.
When I remember we'd have pizza and you were like, nope, sorry. And you had that discipline that it takes. So again, just another place that I'm just so inspired by your journey and as long as I've known you, for sure. And then the half marathon, you like barely trained for that, right? What's the most you ran, 6
It
miles?
was not my best choice. So I was preparing for a powerlifting competition, and you don't run in a powerlifting competition. Like, it's not it. So then my dad, this is actually a cool story. So my dad, we're very similar. He was definitely one to push the limits. I never thought I would be, but I got a little bit more from him. And so he ended up texting me, he said, hey, do you want to do a half marathon? And he just got a hip replacement. He just, like, you're not supposed to run on a hip replacement. So he kind of planted this seed, and I'm like, let's go for it. So within that, it was about 3 or 4 weeks, I went from barely being able to run 5 miles to finishing that half, which I had a girl with me that pushed me, and I was so thankful for it. But just that small little journey, I went from, I cannot tell you how bad my feet hurt for 4 to 5 miles
Right.
doing that. So it was definitely a short training, which I don't condone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I remember that. Didn't you do a bike thing too? Like, did you do
Oh
Peloton?
yeah. It was, Pelotonia. It was awesome. So you can do all different ones, but I did a 25-mile bike ride, but it was for cancer research, all this stuff. It was an awesome event.
Yeah. So you have done a lot in a very short period of time that I've known you. So that leads us to what's next. Where are we now? What I know you're doing some exciting stuff. And someone I'm going to have on tomorrow, Miss Cammie, keeps me up to date because I know she's a client and a friend. So she's like, hey, you see the latest that Kelsey's doing. So she keeps me pretty up to speed. But why don't you tell the audience, what are you up to now and what's the latest? And take it from there.
It's been a journey this year. It's if you don't know, this year's the Corona year. So it's been a really big curveball for a lot of people. And I've been blessed that I've been healthy, but it's still been mentally taxing on just transitioning. So I went from a lot of in-person stuff, and my background's, like I said, sports medicine. So I would deal with a lot of low backs, knee pain, like all this stuff, and helping people move out of those pains and realizing that, hey, this isn't the end for you. And so I went from a lot of in-person classes, people, to saying, hey, everything's shut down. And it was a really good curveball, but it was also the curveball that I needed to like really progress how I wanted to progress. So throughout the summer, I'm like, okay, Kelsey, you have these big dreams of creating this health academy. You have these big dreams of getting all these medical professionals that are of high quality together to really be the biggest change in health that health needs. Because we're, as a country, we are one of the sickest we've ever been, and we have the most opportunities or resources that we've ever had. And there's really big disconnect there. So that's where I've always had this dream of getting the best of the best medical professionals together and helping individuals that really, really need it. Helping those that for their doctor, they said, oh, you're never going to get better. But then they come here and they actually get better. So that's really been this end goal for me of leading that, of creating this that people really need. And when I was in person, I always put it on the back burner. I said, oh, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. So throughout this summer and throughout this process, is pushed me a lot to virtual and a lot to online to create this. And throughout the summer, I've created an app where I have different movement programs to training how to actually move your body without pain, all these different features of it. But now this next big step is creating this, and it's on its way of creating this academy of these professionals together that are in this group of have these people that need this help, and that we get them. Say you have diabetes and you feel like you're the only person that goes through this, and you have your struggles, get these individuals that are struggling with the same issue, get them in this group, have them go along this journey where we talk about movement, we talk about community, we talk about nutrition, and you're talking about health in a bigger way than just a, hey, take this medication. So that's really where this trajectory is going. I'm really excited for it, is this academy that's really getting built to help people in this long, long haul. And that's something that's been a big dream of mine. And throughout this summer, creating this app, which now that we can have this place to go and people can actually facilitate it through there, it's like that next stepping stone, which I'm excited about.
That's unbelievable. I mean, you've always been a visionary. You know, there's always a next, and that's incredible. As well as we go through it, is you know, you just have incredible vision, and you've always been working and striving. And what I like too that I've seen, and I know it's basically essentially a small business, you know, or that you've started. You've been willing to shape and move that, not just stick to the same thing. You know what I mean? Because the world is changing, as you know, and Corona changed everything for all of us. And the businesses that don't advance or change themselves right now are not going to survive, and are not surviving, as we've seen. So I've seen you continue to mold and adapt and learn your audience, and then allow your audience to mold and adapt what you're doing. It seems like, is that about fair? I mean, is that right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's a journey. I mean, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. And you can ask my boyfriend Jared, he gets the back end of it. So all these frustrations, do I go this direction? Do I go this direction? He gets that end of it. But one thing that has continued to push me is like, when all this stuff happened, I said, Kelsey, you have two decisions. You can either lay down, you can say this thing, it ruined what you had, it's through a curveball, like just get money from this and just wait. I was like, you can do that. People are doing that. You can have that, or you can see this as an opportunity. You can see this of, all right, this gave you a curveball. Are you going to come out better with this? Are you going to come out saying, hey, I am thankful I've grinded these past 3 months? Or are you going to come out this saying, man, I just stayed here? And that's what continued to push me of, okay, I don't have it all figured out yet, and it's not going to be all figured out yet, but I have to go, and I have people that I lead. I have people that depend on me, and I need to show up for them. And I need to show up for the people that I don't even know I lead yet. And I need to show up for the people that need this academy. They need this one-on-one. They need this. And if you lay down here, that's not going to work. They're not going to have that. They're not going to have that opportunity to get better. So that's something that it's been a struggle, because I'm someone to always want to see what that around that corner is. I always want to see and predict the future. I always want to have this path. Like, I'm not someone to just, oh, I'm good with whatever, but I have to be like that. And that's somewhere that I've grown a lot, is you just got to roll the punches, and you got to keep on going and just never lay down with that.
I want to say that that's, you know, we obviously know the devastating things that have come out of COVID. physically, mentally, kids losing programs, sports, seasons, tournaments. The Big Ten's back today, so I guess a lot of people will be happy for that. But there's been a lot of loss. But the one thing I've heard, and it's been interesting on these podcasts so far, is people found something too, and they found a new journey for themselves, or they found some of us found some weight that we didn't have before. But I mean that. I mean, I think people found purpose, and because we were forced to do so, we had no choice. And I don't think a lot of us were used to that. We were used to our scheduled life. We were used to knowing what we're doing on Friday and assuming that place will be open and how many of our friends can come, and all that has been wiped away, and we were not ready for. Not only were we not ready for the virus, that's a whole nother conversation. We were not ready for mentally what we were preparing for. Now the goalposts have changed, and we keep moving the goal line, and whatever. That's again another conversation. But I think I'm getting that out of all these calls is so many people found something, a podcast, a new hobby, a new inspiration. Because they had to. And so many people that were so scheduled have now learned that life isn't always going to be scheduled. So that's fantastic. And it doesn't surprise me at all that in that kind of thing, you would find the grit and toughness to find a new purpose and a new thing to do. That doesn't shock me at all.
Well, I love what you said there is sometimes when life throws you that you're at such a point where you can be really negative. We can say, oh, this is terrible, that all of this, or we can find some type of opportunity in it, some type of, hey, I spent more time with my family than I ever have. Or, hey, I was able to read a book that I've been putting off. And that's where you kind of have two options. My brain will go to the negative, but we have to take control back and say, okay, yes, I want to be negative, but where's this positive at? And you just got to get through the days about that. Sometimes it's hard. It's not easy, but seeing some type of silver lining. I mean, I'm a big faith girl. So if you have to go back to that I don't know. I don't know all of this. I don't know what's going to happen, but he does. Mm-hmm. And I have to have that faith that if this works out and however it works out, I have faith in whatever he's doing. And it's tough, but got to cling on to something.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's your faith has been just another place. I mean, so many things that just check all the boxes when as I've gotten to know you.
I don't know about that.
It really does. So on that note, and we got to tour Rock City before it was Rock City.
Throwback.
Yeah, heck yeah. What else? I'm gonna have Chad on. We got to coordinate our schedules, but Chad will be on. So, but we both attend Rock City, and so with that, you got to tell the baptism story. Can you tell the story of how you got baptized at Rock City?
So, yeah, so I am new in this, not new, I am newer in this faith journey. I grew up, and I would go to church some days, not really, but I was never connected. I never felt that relationship. So then I went through something really tough in college, and I really gravitated towards faith. And I gravitated towards Rock City and the lessons I was learning and the people I was around. Really enjoyed it. So I was sitting in church one day. This is probably about a year and a half after. This is actually a funny story. Forgot about it. It's a year and a half after I've been going, like every week, all this stuff. And I was sitting in church one day, and he had a really good message, just like hit my soul. And he goes, all right. He goes, I want you to close your eyes. We stood up. We were standing up at this point. He goes, all right, I want you to close your eyes. He goes, keep standing if this message really hits you. And I was like, yes, it hit me. So I kept standing. And then he asked a few more questions, and I was like, yes. And then he goes, okay, open your eyes. And I opened my eyes, and I'm like one of 4 people standing. He goes, all right, the people that are standing, make your way out to the center. And I'm like, where am I going? What do you mean? He goes, we're getting baptized. And he must have asked the question, do you want to get baptized? And I'm like, I was just in the moment. I'm like, yes. And I had no clue I said yes to it, but I got baptized, and there we go. It was awesome. I would have done it even more, but it was funny. I had no clue what I was getting myself into, and got baptized one day.
Those are called divine moments, I think, but they can be fun along the way. They don't always have to be terrible stories. So that was awesome. I remember I think we ran into each other and you were like, so yeah, I got baptized in Rock City.
Yeah.
He told me the story and I was like, wow, that's okay. That's great. Congrats.
You're about
So
as shocked as I was.
it's great. Honestly, it's great. Those are divine moments. You were meant to be baptized that day. So, Kelsey, I could do this forever. I really could. It's so good to have you on. We'll have to do it again because I want to hear. I want to hear progression. So let's do it again. You know, as we both go along. Maybe I'll have better techie tools by then, and do something cool, or a ring light like you have. No, that'd be great. We should get you on again. So before we get off, can you tell everybody all your links? How do I find you? Where's your app? What's your web address? And all those things I will put in the blog post as well, in case anybody's listening and they're driving. I don't want them to try to write this down. Or, you know, so yeah, tell us all about you. Where can we find Kelsey and where can we get involved? What programs are you running right now? Are you kicking something off? Is there all of it? Just give us all.
All right, you asked for it.
All right, let's go.
So interaction wise, I am mostly on Instagram and Facebook. It's just under my name. So Kelsey Lensman. I try to be very interactive on there because I know that's where a lot of people are. And I want you to reach out to me. And I love talking about people's stories. So Instagram, Facebook are my main two socials. I have a website, kmlmovement.com, that has everything that I'm doing there. But I'm doing basically two things. One is the KML Strong membership, which it's really low budget per month. You get 3 programs and we get the community. I just wanted somewhere for everyone to be able to go, especially in this time where you might be out of a job. You might be not able to pay so much. And so really high quality value for just creating this big community. So that's the KML Strong membership, which you can see on my website or just reach out to me directly. And then outside of that, we're doing the Health Academy, which it'll be launched here within about a month or 2. So it's definitely coming up, and I'll be talking a lot about that on social media, but also website wise. And that's where we work one-on-one with you in this community and tackle everything about health. So you have a movement program, we have a one-on-one nutrition program, but we also have live calls where we get a mindset piece in, we get movement. Like, it's just a really comprehensive approach because health is not just dieting down, it's a lot of different things. So membership or the academy is going to be my 2 offerings there.
And I think you mentioned an app. Can they get that online? How can we get the app? In the Apple Store?
Yeah, so you can go to the App Store and just type in KML Movement. And that right there, it's a free download. And you can also, that's part of the membership piece, where if you get the app, you can easily get KML Strong and have access to all the plans, all the community, all that.
Awesome. Well, I think that's probably a good place to start, is people follow you on social. They'll start to get a feel for everything we've talked about here, and that and I no disrespect to anybody that's in the gym, you know, being a trainer, those kind of things. But you're not your average, you know, walk in and somebody just says, all right, here's your workout, and you move on. That's not who you are. And hopefully people have heard that in this call, or podcast, whatever we call these things now. Hopefully they've seen that and they heard that. And if they haven't, or maybe if they're still not sure, I have a feeling if they go to your social, they will get a feel pretty quickly that you're doing exactly what you are. You practice what you preach, and you are who you say you are. And I'm so thankful that you're my friend, and that you've been such an encouragement to me, and that you would come on, and we've both been looking forward to this all day. I'm not gonna lie, it's been fun. So we definitely got to do it again.
Oh, no, Aaron, I appreciate you. And I mean, we go way back from years, and you are one of my first individuals that really believed in me. And I'll tell you, that means more than I can even put words into, is that belief. Because there's a lot of times I doubted myself, and you kept me going. And your every time inching in there really helps. So appreciate you, your family, your girls, your wife. It's just good humans. So I'm excited and appreciate you.
We better get off, because I'm gonna get all teared up and choked up. My makeup's gonna run.
Together, Aaron.
No, I'm just kidding. We appreciate you so much, Kelsey. Thank you for being on, and we're gonna do this again, no doubt about it.
Definitely, I'm down. Whenever you're down.
Awesome. Best of luck to you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.